Hello, everybody. This is D.W. Daniel Whited calling you live from Denver, Colorado, and we just welcome you to the Doctor's Clinic call. And it's just an opportunity for you to come in and hear some things that you're normally not going to hear in traditional tastes and talks that we do. Dr. Kurt Fisnick has been helping us for quite a bit, and he's going to put us in a position to get into some. He loves the anti-aging or age reversal or rebuild the cells so you can live longer and put yourself in a position to where, you know, all the organs of the body are more supple instead of shrinking and getting crusty and you know, losing their vitality. They can come back alive. And he's been studying this for quite some time, and it's one of his favorite topics. And so we're going to pop into that right now. And once again, we do welcome you. Thank you for being part of the call. And we just kind of look at it like this. This is where the world is your waiting room. And Dr. Kurt Fisnick, we appreciate you being with us tonight. And we're ready for you to take it away, my friend.
Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Kurt Fisnick, and welcome to the Sisel Doctor's Clinic call. And I'm sitting in an airport in Philadelphia, just getting ready to take off, heading back to Fargo. So I am recording this early, but you know, I'm excited to be here as always. This is a call that I just love doing because it forces me to use my brain and think back into the memory banks and of the things that I've learned over the years on health and share it with all of you. Sometimes I think that when we get into network marketing, I think that people don't really think that there's any science. It's just a matter of selling. But I really like the science behind it, as all of you heard when you were at the conference this weekend. But DW says on this call, the world is your waiting room. And I like that because it really is true. All of a sudden we can reach out to people all across the globe. We can share this information. We can share these recordings with people. And we really need to thank DW for coining that phrase. And thanks to all of you for making this possible and making it happen. Thanks for taking the time to get on the call, or for those of you that are listening or sharing the recording, thank you as well. My name is Dr. Kurt Fisnick. I'm a chiropractor. I actually don't practice chiropractic any longer. 9 years ago, I got in a horrible motorcycle accident, a bike accident, in 2007. I was struck so hard on the right side that my right leg was nearly ripped off my body. And I spent a couple months in the hospital, a level 1 trauma center, and the doctors there, who were experts in their field, had told me that I would never walk again if I didn't have my leg amputated and have a prosthetic. But, you know, being a stubborn North Dakota guy, I just made the choice that I was going to try and keep it. I figured, you know, they could always cut it off, but they couldn't put it back on. And really now I look back and I go, holy cow, did I make the right choice? How many people would have listened to the doctor and had that leg amputated, you know? And there was a time during the first 2 years where I thought about it. I thought about having my leg cut off and even up until the second year. But here it is, 9 years later, I continue to improve. And I do have a slight limp, and I do have some days where, you know, it's not as good as it is the rest of the time. But let's get to the topic. And after my accident, I really decided that I needed to figure out what I want to be when I grew up. Because you can't just say you're a doctor, and then people say, well, what do you practice? And you say, oh, nothing. So I chose age reversal, which, you know, to many of you probably sounds kind of weird. You know, why don't I say anti-aging versus age reversal? And my answer to that is that, you know, maybe I look into things a little bit too much, but when I'm talking about anti, I'm talking about the opposite of, and the opposite of aging is dying. And I really didn't want to talk about dying, so I called it age reversal. So what is aging? You know, really, what is aging? And aging is really a group of symptoms and changes that we go through as we get closer to mortality, right? Closer to being dead. And have any of you ever been with a grandparent or an older parent and wondered, you know, why do we age? You know, why don't we just get old and sort of just fall over dead? Why do we have all the signs and symptoms of aging. Why does the body go through that? And so a lot of people think that all living creatures, all living organisms age, and that's just not the case. Some living organisms actually have just as high of a mortality on day 2 as they do on day 20 or day 657. I mean, so it's something that we go through. It's something that animals go through. But in Mannheim on Saturday, I was talking about that the longevity of our species, the human species, the human race, has increased dramatically in the past 200 years. Prior to that, maybe not so much. You know, if we take a look at prehistoric man, they had an average age of 22 years. And by the time you fast forward to the year of 1776, when we had our great revolution here in the United States, the average age was only that of 35. And, you know, that's not really a big change over a course of hundreds of thousands of years. And then you take a look by the year 1900, and it had only expanded to the age of 45. And now from 1900 till now, it's increased to nearly 80. That's a huge change in the past 100 of years. So along with age comes old age diseases. Back in the days, in prehistoric days, and up until even after the Civil War, the primary thing that people had to worry about was infection. The number one killer of humans was infection. Now it's switched to heart disease and cancer. Scientists have told us that we can lower the risk, and if we do a really good job of lowering the risk of heart disease and cancer, just by identifying those 2 diseases of humans, we can increase longevity by over 10 years. That's huge, just 2 diseases. So I'd like to share with people that the key to this is prevention and early detection. On the call, we're going to stick to talking about really the preventative measures that we can make using natural means. And when I talk about that, I do need to say that when we're talking about natural methods, preventative health, we can never really say diagnose. We can't use the terms treat or cure. We merely just say that we improve the body's ability, the natural abilities to optimize health. So, you know, we've talked about what the definition of health is, and we've talked about aging, we've talked about longevity and lifespan, things like that. But what's the definition of health? You know, have you ever wondered, what is the definition? What do you need to really say you're healthy? So as we look at that, you know, some experts in the field, they use a list of criteria to really define what healthy is. And so I want to go over those. Let's define what it takes to be not healthy. That's probably easier. So if you're exposed to extreme temperature changes, you're not considered healthy. And if you're exposed to extreme temperatures, not even changes, but extreme temperatures, if you live in areas that have extreme temperatures, you're not considered to be healthy. If you've ever had any kind of an injury or an accident, you're not considered healthy. If you've been vaccinated or you've been on any kind of a medication, you're not considered to be healthy. If you've ever had any kind of a burn, a sunburn, a burn from being exposed to anything hot, you're not healthy. If you used any kind of a prescription or non-prescription drug, if you've ever used alcohol, you're not considered to be healthy. If you've been exposed to chronic stress, you're not healthy. Right there, I mean, doesn't that pretty much rule out most every one of us? I live in North Dakota, and we have extreme temperature changes all the time. It can go from 100 degrees to 50 degrees just like that. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about prevention, because really in reality, there's probably only about 3% of us that are considered to be healthy. Most people don't really do preventative care. They have backaches and they take something. They have high blood pressure, they take something. You see, that's not prevention. That's supportive care. And so once you've had something and you're taking something to prevent from coming back, that's not prevention. That's supportive care. So I've not had cancer, but I've had some problems with my blood pressure going up. So I'm doing supportive care for that, for my high blood pressure. But on the side of cancer, I'm really doing some preventative type work. And I'm doing quite a lot because it does tend to run in my family. There's certain kinds of cancer that I notice that do run in my family. And in the past, we were tended to be limited to looking at that. We'd look at our family history. And the diseases that we had really told us what we needed to work on. The family history gave us a clue, but it really wasn't as accurate as you think it would be, because genetics only adds a matter of like 20% at the most to your disease, and it's your environmental factors that really add to it. So back about 17 years ago, I had my DNA tested, and they had just finished the Human Genome Project. It was a project that was funded by the United States government. It cost billions of dollars to complete. Now, that same research today, if it was started today, it would only cost tens of thousands of dollars, because biotechnology has improved to that point. It's a lot less expensive. But for about $200 or maybe even a little bit less, we can actually have our DNA tested for something called SNPs, SNP, right? Single nucleotide polymorphisms. And what they really are is those are the mistakes in your DNA. You see, when your grandparents got together, and when your great-great-grandparents got together, when any of your relatives got together, the genetics from one parent to the other, from the mother to the father, they mix. And when they mix, certain mistakes happen. And so when you take your grandparents on both sides and they mix, and then you take your parents and they mix together, and so now you've got SNPs, and some of them can lay in there kind of, I'm going to call it kind of invisible, hidden, and they don't show up sometimes for generations. But these mistakes, they can be detected in a simple test, in a DNA test. And I've had some friends tell me, "Oh, why would you want to know that? Why would you want to know the things that are gonna cause disease in you?" And I say, well, because these things aren't like inevitable. What they basically are is, think of them like light bulbs. They're light switches. They're light switches in your system. And if nobody ever flips the light switch on, then you're not going to have the disease. And so you want to make sure that light switch never gets activated. So think of it kind of like having an owner's manual on your body. Think of it like being able to see the things that could possibly go wrong. And if you know how to keep the light switches from being turned on, you can prevent the disease. And so this company, 23andMe, is the one that really does a lot of these tests now. And they do it for less than $200. You don't have to have a doctor's prescription to do it. And actually, you wouldn't want the doctor to order it anyhow, because then the insurance companies would have access to your testing, and then they could start denying coverage based on that. So I tell people that this is a really good test. It gives you a overall view of what you have. And then there's other healthcare professionals that I know of. If you want to have your result of your test read to determine even more in-depth what the data means, you can get that done too, and you can pay these healthcare professionals to do that for you. But for the most part, you can go to 23andMe and you can get the basics and know which things you have. And then you can go on the Human Genome Project online. It's a government website, so we all own it. We paid taxes to pay for this, so we all own that. And you can look up each SNP, and you can determine what it means. So if you're really into the science on it, but let's look at this as if we don't have that data. Let's look at this for the average person who hasn't gone through the work of having it done. They haven't paid for that. Let's look at somebody who has absolutely no symptoms. Someone who, by all sense of the word healthy, are what we would consider healthy, right? And it's somewhat determined by age, but let's just give that a shot. So if I were someone in my 20s or 30s and I had a concern about health and I was really looking at prevention, what would I recommend for me? What would I take? And let's really take a good look at, the first thing that I would say would be, let's take a look at omega-3 fats. And I think that most of us, every single person on the planet, needs to think about omega-3s. We don't get enough of them in our diets, and omega-3 includes the fats that help get rid of inflammation. They help build the body's natural hormones. And omegas have been determined to lower the risk of heart disease as well as certain types of cancer. So omega-3 fats will lower the symptoms of allergies, and they'll actually help prevent pain in the joints and help promote healthy joints. Omega-3 fats have actually been studied in science to help people recover from certain mental disorders as well, like depression and anxiety. So omega-3s are highly, highly recommended. And if somebody just needs to take one type of a product, I think the omega-3s would be really good. And then we combine that with some of the other omegas, the omega-5s, the 6s, the 7s, the 9s, and just keeping all the fats in balance. So the next thing that I want to talk about was fiber. In a lot of studies, they show that the average American just doesn't get enough fiber in their diet. And a man in the United States right now needs to get about 25 grams of fiber. And when you look at the studies of people, they're finding that we're actually getting less than 15, somewhere down around 12. And women are getting a little bit less than that. But fiber absorbs bad fats. It helps keep the digestive system working correctly, and it helps lower the risk of heart disease. And so those are some important reasons that you want to get enough fiber. It helps with getting rid of toxins as well. And every day we're exposed to toxins. It's not just those days that you breathe in fumes from something. And most toxins are fat soluble. And cholesterol really is a fat that your liver makes. And fat accumulates, cholesterol accumulates in the blood vessels. Heavy metals and other toxins are deposited into that fat, and those will cause health problems as well. And so we want to look at doing some type of a toxic removal system, some type of a program. I take things every single day because I realize that I'm exposed to toxins. I'm sitting in an airport right now, and as I sit in this airport, they recycle the air. Probably 50 to 70% of the air that I'm breathing right now is recycled. So somebody that's in one end of the airport is coughing, I'm going to breathe that in, and some of the air comes from the outside. Well, guess what's outside of an airport? You got jets out there, and the engines are running and they're idling, and as they're doing that, they're giving out diesel fumes. Well, those diesel fumes are coming here into the airport. As soon as I leave the airport and get onto the airplane, again, a certain amount of the air is recycled. I'm going to be breathing that stuff in again, plus I'm breathing in other toxins, things like pesticides. When you get off the plane, when you deboard the plane, before they let the next crew on, they have a group of people that come on there and really quickly spray the inside of the jet down with pesticides. They also spray the jet down with certain types of chemicals, flame retardants. They spray it down with Scotch Guard to make it so the seats don't get dirty, and things like that. So you're breathing all that stuff in. And so what's the difference between a poison and a toxin, right? So toxins don't necessarily kill you, at least not right away. Toxins interfere with the normal metabolism in your body, the normal metabolism of nutrients. And toxins will steal electrons from the outer ring of a healthy cell, and what that does is it causes something called a free radical to form. And so as this happens, it's going to bump the nutrients out from being able to reach their receptor sites. And if you get enough toxins in your body, it'll actually poison you. And poisoning is when you actually start to feel ill. A toxin does not necessarily mean that you're going to ever feel ill from it. You might feel great, and then one day you just, kind of fall over and you're done for. But, that's kind of how I describe it to people. So we need to look at that every single day, because we are exposed no matter what you're doing. And when you take a look at the National Institutes of Health, when you take a look at the President's Council on Cancer, they do say that 80% of cancer is triggered by toxicity. I think it might actually be more than that. Most detox products that are on the market simply boost the function of the gut or the liver, which is important. But I think that you need to be looking at doing something on a daily basis that reaches into the cellular level as well. Certain seaweed extracts and that will do that. Natural ingredients that go into the cell, and they'll remove toxins. So think about that as another thing that you want to take on a daily basis, no matter how old you are. So yesterday, on Monday, October 3rd, 2016, the 2016 Nobel Prize for Medicine was given out to a scientist in Japan for his work on something called autophagy. And autophagy is a word that even a lot of people in the healthcare field and in science, they don't have a clue what this is. But it has a lot to do with removing of toxins from the cells, and it's a way of releasing the toxins from the cell and the gunk out of the cell and allow good, healthy nutrition to come in. And so some of the things that help with autophagy, exercise, of course, in my opinion, that's probably the best way of triggering autophagy. Some other things like resveratrol, turmeric, EGCG from green tea are some things. The next thing that I just really want to touch on real lightly is making sure that you have a healthy water and safe water. And when we're looking at the qualification for that, I try and tell people that, safe doesn't necessarily mean healthy. And so I really like to look at having a good system on my water system at home where I can have safe and healthy water. And I know DW will cover that in a little bit, but additional studies say that most of us are magnesium deficient. If you go in and you have an IV stuck in, one of the minerals that they put in there, one of the trace minerals they put in there is magnesium, because we don't have enough. And a lot of magnesium just won't pass through the gut barrier very well. Magnesium threonate is a really good magnesium that it will pass through the blood-brain barrier. It'll get right into the brain, and it'll help and make sure that you have enough magnesium there, which is really good for neurogenesis, which is building new brain cells. So one of the areas that I think that maybe isn't touched on quite enough in the fields of health is gut health, and the digestive system is very important. 70% of the immune system is actually found in the gut. Toxins enter the body at this level, and that can trigger autoimmune disorders, which, if you take a look all around us, all the people that are starting to have autoimmune disorders, and you really want to start looking at how can you prevent that. And so as one ages, we start looking at what can we do to build the digestive system, and vitamin D is really, really important. Fiber, like we talked about earlier, is very, very important. Probiotics, prebiotics, and fish oils to keep the inflammation down, because a lot of problems in the gut is related to inflammation. What that'll do is that causes a leaky gut syndrome and allows incompletely broken down proteins or ICPs to pass through the gut, and that can cause problems on its own. But we start looking at that. As we age, the digestive system just doesn't work as good as you want it to. We start to have loss of lean muscle. They say after the age of about 45, we lose 1% of lean muscle mass per year. And also, a couple weeks ago, I talked about neurogenesis, and so as one ages, the brain naturally starts to shrink in size, and that's just not with humans. That's with any animal. And so they found certain compounds that will increase the size of the brain and make the brain go back. Telomere science is really important on this. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. If you go back on the SiselDoctorClinic.com, you can find that, and you can find on there the different nutrients that we talk about, including the magnesium threonate, and how it helps with neurogenesis. And they've shown that if you can keep your brain size, keep your brain functioning properly, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot less old age diseases. You're going to find that you're going to lower the risk of Alzheimer's, you're going to lower the risk of depression, anxiety, all of that. Again, we talked about overall toxic load in the body, lowering the toxins that you're exposed to, removing the toxins that you have. So by the time one reaches the age of 55 or 60, there's some other things that we want to talk about just like that, and it just increases over time. By the time you're 85 years of age, you have a 50% chance that you're already going to have Alzheimer's disease. And so you start looking at it as if you're part of the 50%. Don't assume that you're going to be part of the 50% that's not going to have it. Assume that you're going to be part of the 50% that will have it. So what can you do to prevent it? And again, not that many weeks ago, I talked about this on the call, and I talked about neurogenesis. So I think that, rather than going over that all over again here, I'll go back and listen to that recording where we talk about the neurogenesis, and we talk about using some of the different products that we have in the Sisel lineup. But what I'd like to do now, I got to board my plane pretty quickly here, so I just wanted to get this recording done. I'm going to pass this over to DW and let him cover the products in more specifics and let you know what you can do. And this is kind of a follow-up, a little bit kind of taken over from where I left off on Friday and Saturday up here in Manheim, Pennsylvania. And thanks to all of you that were here, and I had a lot of fun. I mean, being bombarded with questions from Marianne and Laura, I hope that I was able to answer them correctly and give you the answers that you wanted to hear. Make sure and get back to me if you have any specific questions, and I certainly will help you out as much as I can. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be back live on the call next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Fisnick.
Absolutely awesome, Doc Fizz. We appreciate that so much. And those of you that are hearing this call recorded and hearing it live, this part of it live is absolutely, we're in the right place at the right time. And, I'm going to go into more products, I think, in the future on some of this, but just so you can wrap your brain around some things, there's basic things that docs look for when they come and see you. They want to know what's your oxygen level. They want to know what your blood pressure is. They want to know what how about your brain health? What's going on with your gut health? Your digestive tract, and is the eliminator eliminating properly? And then, and they get into some of those things, and any of those elements can stop or reverse, reverse the system from going forward. It slows it down, and so there's two things that you kind of want to focus on when it comes to what we have our hands on when it comes to doing these products, as Dr. Kurt Fisnick is talking about, and getting into it, is you want to do some anti-aging stuff. Well, you start with a simple detox with the Ficoidin. One of the main things docs will treat you on too, though, is inflammation. More people go to the doctors because they have inflammation, which is triggering pain and causing joints and tendons and nerves and on, and circulation of the body. Well, our Ficoidin helps with inflammation. It helps with circulation. It helps with getting the body system and the body fluids and everything just cleansed out. Mild detox to the liver and to the kidneys, so that when you start detoxing other areas, it can process it properly. Then you move into anti-aging or age reversal or just feeling younger and being younger, because there's two ages out there. There's your chronological age, which is exactly how old you are. Then there's your biological age, which is how old your system inside has been treated. I mean, you could take a brand new car and barely drive it and take really good care of it and keep it in the garage and change oil ahead of time and filters and belts and everything and keep it in tip-top condition and give it some extra oil additives so there's less wear and tear on the pistons, and that car's going to last longer. Or you go out and take a car and some people have done this. They never change their filter. They seldom change the oil, and that car's not going to last as long. Well, your body's the same way. You got to put the right things in it. So you want to start eating as clean as possible. And then you want to find out what biologically. I've heard doctors tell someone, man, you're 40 years old, but you got the heart of a 90-year-old, or just the opposite of that. Oh my goodness, you're 90 years old, but you got the heart of a 40-year-old. And what causes that? Well, taking care of that heart, taking care of that brain, taking care of those joints. Joint health is huge. And our calcium K2 is going to knock it out of the ballpark for you. When it comes to our heart health and having nutrition for the heart, my goodness, the Omega Plus has coenzyme Q10 plus all the omegas in it, all the fish oils you'd ever dream of thinking that you would need. And then you have Eternity, which is the second component to the triangle of life. Fucoidan being the first I mentioned, Eternity being the second. Eternity is resveratrol, has that youth gene in there. It just brings you alive. And then you have probably one of the greatest products Tom's put together, and that's Spectramax. I mean, it is loaded, 74 essential. And man, just say the word essential out loud with me. Essential. Trace minerals in it. That means it's essential, means it's mandatory like oxygen. You need it to live. And then it has 40 major, and I mean major on the major level of antioxidants in it that helps the body detox and heal itself back up and helps with, people going through all kinds of challenges all the way from asthma to migraines to autoimmune diseases. And most autoimmune diseases, if not all, are self-inflicted. Are you kidding me? And it's just an indication of what we do diet-wise, what we do when it comes to lack of exercise, what we do when it comes to being mentally prepared to take on each and every day with a good positive frame and a positive attitude. Having your emotional health and your mental health and all that tucked away and done right. It's important. Well, the other things, it helps with the brain. We talked about the bones. We talked about the heart, and let's talk about the brain. You've got your brain vitality, and Eternity again is great for the brain. And then you come in there with our Compass 360. Oh my goodness, guys, off the charts. That is a product that is life changer. And Compass 360, some might even refer to it as a multivitamin. I'm telling you, it is beyond any multivitamin I've ever heard or read or studied about. So it's one amped up, powerful, super strong product that you put in your system. But you want to really turn things around. Stop putting junk on your body that has hazard materials in it and toxins in it. Put yourself in a situation to where you can become, toxin free with what you're putting in your body, and on your body, and then take the products that help get what toxins are in there out. And so if your air conditioner and your heating unit filter is going to get full of junk, well, so is your body, so is your lungs, so is your system. It's sucking in air just like the return air vents in your home. So those are a couple of products that just jump out to me that you want to look at. But one of our favorites, and we don't come close to talking about it very much, but it's a product called TSX, and it deals with the telomeres. And Doc Kurt Fizz is an expert on that particular product. And it's one of Tom's all-time favorite products because I have seen people biologically tested what their biological age is. And I've seen individuals that are in their 60s go back to being in their late to early 40s to mid-40s. That's incredible. They dropped 20-some years biologically. That's a scientific test. It's not up for opinion. It's not up for debate. It's not about, I feel good. No, your body is producing cells now, and it just changes the biological functions of your body. So I'm not going to get into all the details there. However, I will tell you this. Get with the person who got you on this call. Figure out how can I get involved with the Triangle of Life. How can I add for the gut health? I can add the Supra Detox. I can add, you talked about magnesium and stuff. I can add the Balance D and be involved with that as well. Those are two products I use all the time. I mean, they're a part of my weekly and Balance D daily regimen. And so, there's learning those how to use those products to your advantage is huge, absolutely huge. Most colds and junk people have because there's things going on in their colon. Well, get a little bit of a cleanse going on and make that happen. So there's a lot to this. I'm not going to extend the call any longer. Dr. Kurt, we thank you. You did an absolutely awesome job. Rob, you running the controls and doing the back office stuff is more of a blessing that I don't even think you'll ever be able to understand the appreciation that we have for how and what and when and even why you do what you do. So, Rob, thank you so much for all of that. You're so gracious with your time and you're just an awesome person, and we just love you, brother. That's all there is to it. And we love you too, Doc Fizz. You get double hugs. What a great job you did, out in Pennsylvania. But get with the person that brought you. Find out where you need the most help with first, whether it's joint health or bone health or heart health or just detoxing your body or gut health. I mean, just look at the areas that a lot of people have problems with. Let's get to eating right, and let's no longer put anything toxin on our body or around our body. And then let's get the products that take the toxins that are in there out, and then you move into the TSX and these other things that are going to build your repair and restore, rejuvenate your telomeres so they can start producing cells for your body. So you start making more than you're burning up. I mean, when you're young, you make way more than you need. You get older, you make way less, and it gets lopsided. Well, and it's not supposed to even start happening to you about 110, but because of diet and lack of education, which Doc Fizz is bringing the heat when it comes to education. And so those are the things that help. All right, that's it for the call tonight, everybody. Thank you for being a part of it. We have so much to share with you next Tuesday, and we'll be here same time, same place. And on behalf of the Doctor's Call, this is Daniel White at DW from Denver, and we are saying thank you so much for being part of it. And remember, the world's your waiting room. Bring them the products, get them the help, get them on the call, get them educated. And Rob has these things posted quicker than quick, but he will do it at his leisure tonight, and you'll be able to get your hands on this call relatively soon. God bless. Thanks for being part of the call. Over now.
Thank you, DW.
You're awesome, Rob. You're welcome.
Thank you all for being here for Sisel's Doctor's Clinic. This call will be posted within a half hour, possibly 15 minutes. Until next week, we wish you Godspeed.